How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Still having a bad hair day, but got the hat to fix it up.
Hey, I never have a bad hair day, except if I don't decide. And so our guests today, at least I guess I'm the only one bald right now. Our guests today are we're interviewing are Jimmy McGorman and Rob uh,
Valier.
Valier. See, I messed that up. Okay, Valier. I can fix that in the cutting room floor. Rob Valier. And we're excited to have you two on the show from Flight to London. Guys, thanks for stopping by. I mean, the bands you've worked with are unreal, and you guys combining together, I look forward to this conversation. I'm going to pass it on over to Greg.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'm going to ask my first question because Neil gets so excited. He's going to ask like 20. So
Yeah.
here I go. I'm going to slip it in. Jimmy and Rob, you guys have been behind the curtains, shaping hits for big, giant, major artists. So let's name a few: Goo Goo Dolls, Dave Stewart, Weezer, Sabrina Carpenter. What finally pushed you to step into the spotlight and create Flight to London?
Go
You
for it,
want to
Jim.
take it? You want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll tell you what. Jim and I have been working together for a lot of years and have been writing and producing for different artists. It all started about a year ago, as a matter of fact. We were up in Napa Valley writing for a band. And we just had such a great time doing it. It was fun, it was fast, it was inspiring. And we were driving home, driving back to the airport in San Francisco, and we both looked at each other and were like, why aren't we doing this for us? And we've been talking about doing it for so many years, just kind of you bring it up and then you move on to something else. And I finally was like, no, we have to do this. We actually have to do it. And so we finally got it moving. We promised each other we were going to finish it, and just had a blast making it. It's something we're really, really proud of.
So tell me how you guys met, first of all. Being in different bands and everything, how did you guys come together?
Well, we met at Berklee College of Music back in the late unpleasantries. It was, no, it was in the 90s. And when I got there, Rob was kind of the man about town. He was the hotshot student there, and he had already been to college for a little bit, and then decided that music was really where he wanted to be. And so we met there. We kind of had a mutual love of certain kinds of music, and we dabbled on working together then, but not too much. We just kind of became friends. Long story short, Rob ended up moving to Los Angeles, which kind of inspired me because he graduated a little before me, and it was like, oh my God, I know someone who's actually out there, and I went out on spring break, and he told us where to go, and we met up out in LA probably around 95 or so, and then we did a tiny bit of work together, but then we just kind of went our separate ways for many, many years. And then right around the time, a little before my daughter was born, she's about to be 13, we met up again. And it turns out that my wife is from Iowa, Rob's from Iowa, and they kind of bonded when we all got together. And then we've been working on music for other artists ever since, for about 13, 14 years now. So that's kind of the backstory.
That's wild. I mean, it's wild that you both had such success in music and didn't come together. You were friends, but didn't come together to a certain time period. When you said, oh, you know what? Why don't we do this for ourselves instead of be part of another band? Let's build our own. And that's really interesting for sure.
It was fun because when we first started, we said, okay, we're going to do this. We decided to make a very rigid structure based on, okay, if we're going to do this type of style, because we both grew up kind of throughout the 80s, and we both loved the stuff, the Tears for Fears and the Scritti Politis and the Peter Gabriels and the intellectual pop of the early 80s. And we said, if we're going to do this, we want to stay in a very rigid, we're giving ourselves
Guardrails.
Yeah. And so that was actually very helpful because we could have written any style we wanted, but we said, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to stay right on this and base the whole album kind of on 4 or 5 records that we both really loved. And we'd ask ourselves, hey, is this on message? If we're going to do this, is this on message? And the answer most of the time was no. So we'd always, we'd stay on path. And when the album was done, I think it has a really solid sound to it,
Wow. So let's talk about the album. Instructions for Losing Control. What does losing control mean to each of you personally?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good, I mean, the idea of, losing control is losing all of of all aspects of who you are, just letting go of all of it. The idea of needing instructions to do that, I think, says a lot about our society and who we are these days. Losing control, truly losing control, is not the easiest thing, I don't think, for most people to do. So I thought that was kind of a funny play on words. But for me, losing control is not doing, I have all these things in my life, and this being the most important thing, is giving up on those things. And I think that would be, to me, a nightmare, is giving up on dreams and goals and ambitions. That's, that when I think of losing control, that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give all the credit. Rob came up with that, which is fantastic. As soon as he told me, he said, "I think we should call the album." We were toying about calling it "The Great Escape," which is one of the songs on the album. And also Rob came up with the band name, which I'm famously awful at. I mean, my band names I mean, it's like Breakfast for Dinner, bad band names, for 30 some years. But yeah, I agree. I think Rob and I feel the same way. It's not really losing control; it's letting go of control. But losing control, sounds better. And I really loved the play on words of it. But at our age, and I just want to go back for 1 second and let's shout out Mama Said, which is the band that we were working with.
Yep.
Because not only was we had an inspiring weekend with them working on their music, but they're like us, they're not 21 years old, right? And so we've done 2 records for them. And, I love the optimism and the idea that, hey, life isn't over when you hit 37 or something, if you have some kind of a big dream. So when Rob and I were working on these songs and working on records for Mama Said and other bands and other artists, there are times when, we want to push it one way or another way. And, I think that, speaking of control, like we just wanted something where we could be the only ones that whose opinion kind of made it to the last round. And it's not about anyone else's thing. It's just, when you have 4 people in a band or even just one solo artist, their ideas and your ideas, you're kind of putting them together. And we said, well, what would it be like if we just did our own thing? And I think one thing also I'll mention is, when people talk about record producing, anyone can produce a record. Producing is making decisions. That's all it is. It's just making a decision. And when we said, okay, we're going to take these 3 or 4 albums, and those are going to be the kind of the roadmap for us, it actually really helped us, because we've done R&B records and pop records and soul records and rock records. And when we said, okay, these are the guardrails here, then it takes a lot of pressure off, because then your decision making is within this certain box here. And then of course we would let go when we needed to. But yeah, that's why I think we're both so proud of it, because we really kind of stuck to what we said we were going to do in the beginning. And I think that's why the record has a cohesive sound and kind of feels, the way it does.
And Rob, people always wait and this is the problem. They wait to try to do something. Oh, I got to make it perfect before I let it out. I got to make it perfect. And I look at my development and growth as a show, doing this for 15 years, interviewing 20,000 plus people of all over the place. I was doing it on my phone at start. I was in a car at times interviewing people and just putting it out there and saying, because it didn't matter. And then I kept progressing and changing, and that's okay. But I didn't need instructions. I just went with it and just let it flow. And when people have tried to control me, the problem is I haven't been able to be the creative flow that's me. Yes, there's no coaching for a business in a box. There's no coaching of a brand in a box. You have to really figure out who you are and what your message is and what you want to do. And in music, same thing for you guys. It's a message, it's a thing. There could be a music coach. I don't know if there are band coaches or other people saying, hey, or strategists. But at the end of the day, you guys know what your fans want.
You bet. I think how lucky are we all right now to be able to do what we want without having Well, because of social media, we're able to still get out there. I remember when I was younger, I mean, there were gatekeepers to the music business. If you didn't find an A&R guy that loved what you did, you're not making a record that anybody's going to ever hear. And so now it's so great that we can get out here and go, no, I don't need anybody to tell me what to do or how to do it, or to, take a huge loan out from a record company to make a production. So I think this is a wonderful time to be in this business. And I know a lot of people can poo-poo the whole idea that, you know, because everybody can do this, there's a lot of crap out there sometimes. But I think it's great that we all are able to do what you do and learn from it without worrying about getting fired or worrying about, so I think we're doing the same thing that you're doing right now. And I think we're lucky to be at this time, don't you think?
Right. I think it's the creator's time. It's
Yeah.
no longer the big corporation time. And
I
I think this is going to be an exciting time. And corporations have no idea what's about to happen as everyone's going to have the great reset they talked about. It's going to be even bigger, greater reset when people say, why am I going to go work for somebody else dealing with it? I'm going to create my own. It just
Yeah.
takes a lot of balls to do
It
it.
does. And I think a lot of people don't have that kind of drive. I think it's going to naturally weed people out, because if you don't have that drive, you're not going to do anything, right?
And my drive continues to go more and more. And at 52
Yeah.
years old, I don't care. I'm just keep going. That's why I
Yeah.
don't like the age thing, because it's like Ray Kroc, I forget what age,
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders, all these
Right.
guys. So it doesn't. Morgan Freeman didn't start to a specific time.
Yep.
So it's not.
Yeah.
It's when your time is. Be ready. All right,
Yeah,
good.
it's so true. I had a great conversation with a manager out of New York, and I was not expecting this conversation with her, because she said nobody cares how old you are anymore. If you go to a festival and see a band like, just like War on Drugs as an example, if you turn around and look at the people that are in that audience, you're going to get 16-year-olds, you're going to get 30-year-olds, you're going to get 45-year-olds, you're going to get 65-year-olds, and they're all
Yeah.
there together listening to good music. They don't really care about, I mean, don't get me wrong, Dua Lipa is beautiful and she's got her the whole thing going, but like, people just want to hear good music. And so I think there's no better time to be doing what we're all doing than now.
So good. Hey, you've called your sound nostalgia. So how do you make that happen when you're playing, Jimmy, when you're producing the tracks? Tell us what that's all about.
I mean, I forget who said that to us, but we liked it. I don't know if one of us, you probably came up with it, Rob, but yeah, like one of the best compliments we got was someone compared what we're doing to when Bruno Mars came out, where he kind of took 70s funk music and made it modern. He kind of was hearkening back to like the Gap Band and Earth, Wind and Fire and all these cool bands. And put a modern spin on it. And I think, one of the things that I think we're going to fight against, but also, wear as a badge of honor, is this kind of, when people say 80s, a lot of times they think of cheesy 80s, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that kind of music. We loved a lot of the 80s music that was musically sophisticated and had lyrical depth and wasn't really talking about going to a club. I mean, a lot of the guys that we love, Tears for Fears, Peter Gabriel, they were talking about some heavy stuff. And even for me personally, this record is a darker there's a darker lyrical side to it. And it's a lot of songs that I don't think I could write with another artist. A song like Secondhand Smoke, I don't know if you've heard the record, but like that song, okay, so if someone comes in, let's say Rob and I are producing a young girl who's 19 years old, she doesn't want to write a song about how, someone is a toxic person in their life. And I mean, maybe they do, some of them do, but a lot of times they want something that's upbeat and fun and, and all these things. So this was an opportunity for us to write songs that half the time we didn't know what we were going to write about. We just kind of came up with certain phrases. I said, well, like a song like No One's Forgiven, there are certain political undertones or overtones just based on the moment of when we were sitting in this room working on these songs. But we just kind of use it as a great opportunity to explore songs that we can't really write with other artists.
Yeah, I would say this, that, this was written in a vacuum in a lot of ways, which was great. You don't have that opportunity. We've been in sessions so many times where you're sitting there with the artist and you got an hour and a half or 2 hours to write a song, something peppy, something catchy. And you're just sitting there, going at it. And it kind of sharpened our knife, our mental knife. So when we were able to sit here, we'd be able to edit ourselves, but we'd be able to do it without having some type of ulterior motive or chasing a hit or whatever. And I think that's why the songs are so special.
And it's interesting having you guys come together like this in a way where you still were on top of music. You just were on not in this where it's your band.
Yeah.
You were other parts of major bands.
Yep.
So that really kind of gives you this understanding that what's on top means. You know what superstardom means. So you know what good music is.
Right.
Because you have not just listened to it your whole life. You've lived it, both of you. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Sure.
I think we've been in this long enough to know that what is a hit? I mean, a hit could be anything in any different decade, right? And so we always kind of go back to, is the melody something that we can remember? Are the lyrics visual enough that people can attach to them in whatever way they attach to them, or they hear what they hear? But we're always asking each other, is it going to be right, so what's the right word? Are people going to
Relatable.
attach to it? Are people going to attach to it in whatever way? A hit doesn't just mean that it's three chords and this catchy little whatever, but it was fun to edit ourselves during this.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
also though, I will say that I don't, and a lot of times when we're trying to write quote unquote a hit for someone, this record, I think we both let go of that a little bit
Yeah.
because no one's asking us to write a hit, and we said let's just write something that we like, because I remember the first and really only job I ever had before I was just a professional musician for the last 30 years. I was working in a publishing company. And I remember listening to these demos. I was a runner, so I would drive all these demos around town. This is before we had internet, people, and I was CDs and cassettes. And it was right when I first got to LA, and I would listen to them in the car, and I would hear what these writers were doing. And I remember talking with one of the people that worked at the company and saying they were listening to a song. They said, "Oh, this song's too personal. I don't think anyone's going to relate to it." And I said, "Well, I think the opposite." I mean, it was kind of bold of me to say that at 21, but I said, look, if this guy's feeling it, if we feel something, chances are someone else is going to feel something too. So that's where I think we really decided, okay, let's just make something that makes us happy, because these bands that we idolized and were influenced by back in the day, I don't think they were trying to write hits, man. I just think they were trying to write something really good. And that's it was fun to be able to kind of take those shackles off a little bit and work on this.
Okay.
Neil was telling me earlier, and we didn't get a chance to finish it, so I'll have to ask you guys. He was telling me that you guys already have some major session legends on this record. Who did you get, and who are you going to get for the next record?
Jim?
Well, so some of our best friends, this is what we do, right? So, I mean, I'm currently still, and I've been in the Goo Goo Dolls for 8 years now.
Yeah.
And all of our buddies play on records for everyone else. But what was really fortuitous for me in my career, the very first tour that I ever got was in 1997 with a girl named Rebecca, one word, Rebekah. And she was kind of a soulful rock singer. They wanted her to be kind of the female Lenny Kravitz of Elektra Records. But I got on a tour, and it was my first band world tour. The bass player in that band is a great, amazing musician named John Button. He is currently the bass player for The Who and has been the bass player for The Who for probably a decade now. And so I've known him for 30 years. And one of the reasons that what we tried to do with the record was live bass really makes things not so 80s-y. And a lot of times when you get into 80s, synth bass is really what kind of makes it super 80s. And I said, well, we should do live bass. I mean, Tears for Fears is mostly live bass. So we had a lot of bass parts that we liked. So John played on 90% of the album. And then there's a wonderful guitarist named David Levita. He plays for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. We were in bands together 20 years ago, and he's played on 1,000 albums. So he really brought those two guys, and then we had Eric Fawcett and Rami Jaffe from the Foo Fighters. I mean, we brought people. It was like 90% of it was Rob and I in this room, but then we would kind of call on a friend and say, "Hey, man, I need a favor. You got to play on this," or John came by, or we would send out tracks, and we ended up getting a sax player named Ben in Australia to play on one of the songs. I mean, Charlene. Oh my God,
she sang on two of the songs. She was fantastic.
So it was a collaborative effort, and then Dr. Mix, right, in Italy or Spain or wherever he is. So we kind of used our friends to help us.
It was great because you just call them and go, "Hey, look, Jim and I are doing something. Can you help us out?" It was so surprising. People were like, "Send over the track. Let's see what I can do." It was really cool to get back stuff that we wouldn't have thought of,
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing is I wish I would have known when you had your kickoff for the album. I would have loved to come out to LA if you did that or different things to get to. Yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say,
I was going to say, Jim, we're playing
yeah, we have. So the album's not out. We only have one song out right now. The album comes out November 21st, and we're actually going to do a record release party / performance November 22nd, actually out near me in Westlake Village, California. So technically the album is not out yet, but
so I'll reach out to your publicist. If you let me get media pass on that, I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh. Of course. Absolutely.
Be amazing.
Because what we're trying to do is we're taking a trip out west. One of my clients in Arizona is having a book launch, and we'll have to see if get that ready to coincide with the trip. I already be out west in Phoenix, not too far. We're driving all these places because we have to take our dog with us.
Well,
so we're trying to get one of those cruisers, huh?
I'm in Phoenix now, so you can.
Rob lives in Phoenix.
Take you guys out for a drink or something.
All right, well, fantastic. That's what I love about podcasting. You build the relationship and you go with it for sure. And so that's awesome. Greg's going to ask his final question. Yeah. I'm going to mute my mic. This is what he asks all the celebrities, and even I'm doing it now sometimes when Greg can't come on. But go ahead, Greg, with your celebrity question.
Great. It's for each one of you guys. So whoever wants to jump on it first, please be my guest. So tell me, Jim, Rob, what's the most important thing in life you feel you've ever learned?
That we've never learned.
No, you said ever.
Ever.
Oh, that we've ever learned.
Yeah.
Jim, you want to start with that?
Wow, that's
the most important.
That's a pretty big question, man.
Hey,
say it again. Say it again. I think I got one.
You start, Rob.
Okay, tell me again. What's the most important thing that I've ever learned?
Thing in life you've ever learned? Yeah.
Okay, I've learned, and this was through working with Jim. We started really starting to work again in about 2010. We started doing a lot of projects and stuff. And my early years, I was always trying to make everything go my way. And one day I woke up and because we had a studio out there in LA with 5 other partners, and it was kind of tough. People were always kind of batting heads and stuff. And I woke up one day and I said, I'm going to start letting go a little bit, and whatever happens, if it's that important, I'll stand up for it. But if it's not that important, I'm going to just let it go and be a reed in the wind. And my life changed right after that. And for for 15, 16 years, I've kind of kept that going. And I've let go, and I've let go of stress, and I've let go of things that you think are always important, but they really aren't. And so now that's really made me a different person, and I sleep better that way, I think. So that's mine.
That's phenomenal.
Geez, yeah, I don't know if I could narrow it down to one. I mean, the idea of this too shall pass is probably one of the best for me, because if you're feeling amazing, that's going to be gone soon, and if you're feeling down and you're in the dumps, that's probably going to be gone soon too. With regards to this project and something we talked about earlier, it's better to be done than for it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So, and that's something where Rob and I, this project, I never would have been able to do it without Rob's, support and help. And so, trying to get, it's hard to do stuff on your own. So having a partner that pushes you,
Yes.
it was a big one. And then I'd just say finally, similar to Rob, I mean, trying to just be able to, I had written something down about a year ago, and it's on my to-do list. And it's one of the top things, and it says, "Will this matter in 5 years?" And so if I'm stressing about something, or if it's my daughter's late to school and we're rushing out, or whatever it is, will it, if she doesn't go to school today, is it going to matter in 5 years? Or if I miss this call, or if I can't get to this place, is it really going to matter? And then when you answer that, then you can, at least for the moment, go, I don't think this is, I don't think I need to worry about this too much. So that's all I got.
Okay. Oh, that's enough. That's for sure. Where can people check out the music? It's available the first drop, the album drop is in November, but the first track's out, right?
Right. So it's flighttolondonmusic.com, and then same thing on Spotify and Apple and
the song's called
Facebook. Yeah. Or the singles, No One's Forgiven. That's the first single that is out now. And there's a video for it on YouTube with a bunch of weird looking puppets. So that's on there. And
and we have another song coming. We have another song coming in a couple weeks here called Walled. The video is being shot as we speak. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, we really appreciate you guys coming by. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Rob, I'll have to get your contact info after we get off the air. Appreciate it, guys. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show. And